When we look back on our childhoods, most of us can remember a favorite teacher. But what most of us probably don't remember is a teacher who had to work a second job, or a third, or a fourth to make ends meet.
I have been teaching algebra for 13 years. I also drive a bus part-time. I also do Lyft, I do Uber, I umpire Little League.
That was Jonathan Moy. He's an algebra teacher in Oklahoma, where it's normal for teachers to work part-time jobs because, on average, they make just over $42,000 a year. That's $15,000 less than the national average. In Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Kentucky, teachers went on strike and held sickouts, forcing schools to close as they demanded higher pay and more funding for things like books and basic materials.
Public education is under attack. What do we do?
But strikes continue in Arizona and Colorado, where teachers are also left to pay for many supplies out of their own pockets. And when they can't, students go without.
These books are not from the district. Those are like my personal books from my own kids, bought books.
I've actually bought everything in this classroom.
At one point in time, our light bulbs were every other light bulb in the building.
The overall economy may have rebounded since the financial crash of 2008, but the news site 538 points out that recovery hasn't reached America's schools, noting as of 2016, at least half of states were still spending less per pupil out of their main education funds than they did in 2008. And while Massachusetts' average education spending is up, parts of the state haven't recovered either, like the city of Braude, which has had to lay off 150 teachers out of 1,400 over the past few years, the city's chief budget officer said. That's more than 10%, which means larger class sizes and a lot less one-on-one attention. Funding cuts and a lack of commitment in Washington means no pay raises for teachers and no additional money for supplies either, except when it comes to one item: guns.
Concealed carry for teachers. If you had a teacher who was adept at firearms, they could very well end the attack very quickly.
Now, the Washington Post estimates it would cost at least $250 million to arm just 1/5 of the nation's teachers, a responsibility most educators, 73%, according to a Gallup poll, say they don't want. So the president is apparently willing to fork over $1 billion in handgun funding, but nothing for more pens, pencils, paper, or books.
We do our best here. I need my leaders, I need my government to do the same.
Actually, it's our government, so what are we waiting for?